I'm trying to figure out this whole chronic illness thing all over again. I had a handle on it to a large degree for several years, but everything has gotten out of control. However, I refuse to give up, and I know for a fact that I can help other people in my situation along the way. So um, that's why I'm doing these videos. Now, I wouldn't usually, I just talked about chronic illness a few days ago, and I wouldn't usually stack them this close. But since I am doing 30 days in a row, it's a little bit different than I'm going to structure it once my 30 days are up. And I'm kind of, since I am doing 30 days in a row, I'm kind of letting topics happen organically. And this is very pertinent to a situation that arose for me yesterday. Um, I'm not going to go into detail just because it's a long, stupid story, but I started thinking maybe I talk about this too much. Maybe I should stop talking about chronic illness so much. And I thought, A, I got to thinking about it. B, I reached out to my really good girlfriends and asked them what they thought. And they were like, no, you help people. You have to talk about this. And I know that I help people. I've been doing this. Like, I used to live stream very regularly for a couple of years. I know for a fact that I help people. I get messages that tell me so. But even knowing that, sometimes it's hard to talk about. It's very vulnerable to put yourself out there because we know how healthy people are. Anyway, let's talk about chronic illness and social media. This information is from themighty.com, and the Mighty is a website for people with chronic illnesses and or disabilities, and it can be a very good resource. So, why are people often reluctant to talk about chronic illness online? Well, there's a lot of reasons. We don't want to be perceived as being melodramatic or whiny. We don't want to, you know, often, I won't say always, but often, we're not really looking for attention. We're just getting ahead of myself. Sorry. It's been a rough, I have barely slept all week, y'all. I am so freaking tired. But that's life. I mean, what the hell do you do about it? Anyway, back to the why people are reluctant to post about it. We don't want to be seen as being ungrateful. I had somebody tell me once, you don't have enough faith. Excuse me, but bitch, please. My faith is the only thing that gets me through this. I'm up to my freaking eyeballs. You guys, honestly, this is the lowest I've ever been with my health. Mentally, I'm in a better place than I was the last time my health was bad, but my health is, it's as bad as it's ever been, and I'm not happy, and I'm pretty concerned. But I have plenty of faith. That's the only thing that gets me through this shit is my faith. We don't like to talk about it because people often think we're weak, which is hysterical because I would stack my mental fortitude against damn near anybody's. And I am not an arrogant person, but I'll stand behind that all day. And we don't want to be perceived as being crazy. Eh, You walk around with chronic pain for years and years and years. Probably be a little bit crazy too, but that's not our main complaint. We don't like to talk about it because there's a lot of sadness involved. Our lives have changed so drastically, and the most simple tasks become draining. I did yoga yesterday. Now, I'm not a moron. I know how to listen to my body. I know when I can push and when I can't. And I did some pretty good modifications. I did 23 minutes of yoga. I hurt so son of a bitchin' bad today. I don't even want to function. I really just want to go pull the covers over my head and not participate in the world. But it's not like I'm going to sleep. I hurt too damn much. So suck it up, buttercup. But simple tasks are exhausting. We call it pain insomnia. It's when you're so freaking tired, you want to sleep so bad. Your body's begging for sleep. And nope, you hurt too much. You can't relax if you're in a lot of pain. It's just it's just the way it goes. We grieve. We want our former lives back. It doesn't work that way, but we do. Now, I don't want all my former life back. I'll be quite honest. I'm a much better person now. I've learned a lot as a result of dealing with all these health issues. But I'd sure like to have my former health back. Back when I took it so for granted that I did stupid shit like smoke cigarettes heavily. But yeah, there's a lot of grief involved. There's a lot of anger and bitterness involved. And you know what? If you're feeling those things, and I cycle through these emotions all the time. I try to be positive. I try to be happy, but yeah, I hurt like hell. How do you not have an emotional impact from that? We're entitled to feel that way, but you can't live there. If you're struggling with your health right now, you can't live in those uncomfortable emotions because they are going to drag your physical health down. They just do. And I know this because I've been dealing with this shit for years. And I literally saw it firsthand the other day. I changed my perspective on how I was looking at something, and just a simple change, I felt the difference in my body. I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't really think that there's a severe mind body connection, you ain't never had any real health issues. We don't talk about it very much because of the judgment. Hmm? But you don't look sick. What the hell does that even mean? If I slumped around looking like an unmade bed all the time, would that make you feel better? It ain't gonna make me feel better. I choose to put myself together because it helps me. It's a sense of normalcy. It's an anchor into my previous life before all this happened. We don't we don't want to burden you. Once in a great while, I'll really sit down with somebody, and because those of you who follow me on Twitter or X as it's now known, you know I'm fairly open, but you have no idea. I'm open about like that much of it. It is so much bigger than I let on. And I don't want to burden somebody with it. I've seen people's faces when I talk about it. It's either, it's always shock, and it's either horror or disbelief. So why burden somebody with that? Just, I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'm managing, and let it go. Um, we don't like to talk about it because y'all can be very belittling. It's it's a serious problem. One of my favorites, and by favorites I mean seriously something that it was probably the most upset I had ever gotten over anything someone has said to me. And I've even had doctors say some pretty horrible things. But this woman got very irritated with me, and she said, "Well, everybody hurts, you know." Well, yes, everybody does hurt sometimes. You're correct. I'm not a freaking moron. Of course I know that. But to turn somebody's chronic pain into, quote, everybody hurts sometimes, close quote, no, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. We have spent usually years, plural, of our lives in doctors' offices trying to find a reason as to why we hurt. And unless you've done that, no, it's not the same thing. I usually try to assume when people make inelegant comments like that, that they're trying to build some kind of understanding, and I do try to be really gracious about it, but that would really just piss me off. We don't like to talk about it because y'all will say things like, well, you know, you would just feel better if you fill in the blank, if you exercise more, if you lost weight, if you ate better, if you did this, if you did that. Well, you know what? We know these things. I guarantee you, we've had these conversations with our medical professionals. There's usually literally a team of medical people that we see. And personally speaking, I've had these conversations with every single one of them, right down to my massage therapists. So if you do think that you can help somebody, put yourself in our shoes. Why don't you make a suggestion? Hey, you know, the ones I like are the people who come to me, hey, Courtney, you've probably heard of this, but I ran across this and I thought of you. That is such a nice way to go about it because then you're not insulting us. You're not belittling us at all. And it comes across, even if it's something I've heard 1,000 times, I appreciate the fact that you thought of me. So maybe try a softer, gentler approach. We don't like to talk about it because a lot of this shit's just embarrassing. Health issues don't, they leave you with no dignity. And then in my current situation, work's become a big issue. Work's been a big issue. I can't work. I know how that sounds. You guys have no idea the emotional implications of that. None. The hell do you do with yourself? You know? Anyway, oh, I don't want to go down that. I'm going to get upset. Um, a lot of times we don't talk about it because we have a fear of rejection. Look, it's so hard for us to make plans. It's even harder for us to make plans when we know that if something comes up and we're flaring, that you're not going to, of course it's going to be a little upsetting. We get that. But most of the time people don't meet us with empathy on that. Oh my God, Courtney, are you canceling again? You're such a flake. What do you all want? What do you want me to do? If I feel so bad that there's times I can barely walk. I'm not going to go out just so you aren't going to be upset. And if you feel that strongly about the plans being canceled, how about you tell your friend who's sick, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. How about I pick up your favorite meal and I come over and I just hang out? Go over there and keep them company. Be a low maintenance guest. Although I'll be real honest, if you ain't a low maintenance guest, you ain't coming in my house at all. You're just not. But we don't get out a lot. Those of us who post about this stuff, we don't get out a lot. It's our outlet. One of my chronic illness people told me yesterday, I have to post about it because I need to scream into the void. And I get that. We can't just hold all this stuff inside. And frankly, a bunch of random strangers online is a lot easier to dump this on than the people in our lives because we don't want to be a burden to them. We don't want them to worry any more than they have to. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know if healthy people are going to get this at all. But I know the unhealthy people will. Anyway, that's all I have. I am so freaking tired and cranky. I want to go. I hope y'all have a great afternoon, and I will be back at 11 o'clock Alaska